something in the streets.
Hey!
Something in the shadows. Something in the dark that kills.
You're trying to tell me 2 kids did this?
She's got a statement from an eyewitness that said she saw the kids attack her.
Officer! Oh, thank God it's you.
The head was unstable and there was a sudden deceleration injury.
You think a cop did this?
Why not?
You automatically assume that it was a police officer instead of some lunatic son of a bitch dressed up like a cop.
He didn't kill the girl. He wanted a witness. He'll kill again. He enjoys killing.
He strikes without cause, without mercy.
Who's he killing? Pushers? Hustlers?
Help me!
Innocent people.
Maniac Cop?
You may be getting information from inside the department.
That means he is one of us.
When the killer is a cop, there's danger in every badge.
You're not gonna get me.
Suspicion in every uniform.
Since when is my personal life any of your business?
Since your wife was found dead in a motel room.
When a cop turns killer, no one is safe.
See a cop, you crossed to the other side of the street.
He'll find you wherever you are.
Bye, squad.
He'll destroy you, whoever you are.
You broke out of your cell, you killed them all.
It wasn't me, it was somebody else. I didn't do any of this.
Now they think they got the guilty man, so you'll be free to get to the mayor and the commissioner.
Reason cannot stop him. Bullets cannot kill him. This is one maniac you'll have to face alone or die. The choice is yours. You can fight him. Remain silent forever. Starring Bruce Campbell from Evil Dead. Maniac Cop.
We're talking about Maniac Cop this week, which is the combination of writer-producer Leonard Cohen and director William Lustig, who is Jake LaMotta's nephew.
Who is any of those people? Jake LaMotta?
Jake LaMotta is the real-life boxer that Raging Bull is based on.
Okay.
The Scorsese film?
Right. The guy who saw the movie and then reconsidered his whole life because he was an asshole.
What?
You didn't do that? That he's watched Raging Bull and he was like, wait, I'm such a piece of shit.
Oh, yeah, of course.
Yeah.
These are the jewels from the belt. Mr. LaMotta, the belt of a champion is a very expensive item. When he goes to the pawn shop and he breaks all the jewels off his championship belt and he tries to pawn them for like $100.
What a chump.
Yeah. So anyways, Leonard Cohen, William Lustig, they're both New Yorkers from the Bronx. Mm-hmm. William Lustig was the director of the film Maniac, the late 70s slasher. And he had a meeting with Leonard Cohen, and Leonard Cohen really liked Maniac, and he wanted a sequel. But William Lustig just didn't have an angle on it. So he was like, you should combine the movie Maniac with a whole other genre.
What happens in the first Maniac? He's like
it's
your
a movie
typical
about a
slasher.
serial killer. It's basically a slasher. It's about a serial killer.
Did Tom Savini have anything to do with that?
I think he did the effects. And
okay. That, I think there's a shotgun blast through a car window and some other things. Yeah.
That's it.
I've heard of it, but...
so anyways...
and he's just a killer. It doesn't really matter, because it really has nothing to do with this movie.
Well, it does have something to do with this movie. This is basically like a spiritual sequel.
Okay.
In a way.
Okay.
So he was like, you should combine the slasher film with a police procedural, which is something that Leonard Cohen really liked. Sure. And Leonard Cohen is also very apt to satire. I don't know if you've seen any of his films like The Stuff.
Oh, yeah, sure.
Yeah. So there's a good amount of satire in this, which I think makes it, transcend the exploitation genre a bit.
Well, what year is this?
This is 1988.
88. Okay. So this is past it's the same year as Die Hard. And it's past Lethal Weapon. Lethal Weapon was, I think, 87.
Oh, okay.
So we kind of introduced,
but I don't think those movies really. It's really more about. It's really a slasher movie and
right.
police procedural. It's like if Jason was a cop.
Right. Yes.
Right.
Just walking around, putting on gloves and just killing you.
Yeah. And this was made by Shapiro Glickenhaus. Do you know what Shapiro Glickenhaus is?
No.
So Shapiro Glickenhaus was an independent production company that was around for like 10 or 12 years. started by producer Leonard Shapiro and director James Glickenhaus.
Mm-hmm.
And they basically made like low-budget action and horror movies.
Los Angeles based?
I believe so.
Okay.
I mean, you know, some of these films are LA, some of these films are New York, but I think they were LA based.
Sure.
I think The Exterminator was Glickenhaus's movies that he directed, his like shitty action movies.
Sure, I've seen clips of The Exterminator.
Yeah. The company eventually fell apart, and actually Troma bought their like library like last year.
Just what, 2020?
2021.
Okay, well yeah, that's what year it is, 2022 now.
Yeah, so you can see like Frankenhooker and stuff on Troma now, I guess.
They have a streaming service too? Well,
they do, but they're not on like Google or iTunes or any of that shit, so they're like in a weird space where it's hard to get.
Okay.
Troma's really getting fucked by big companies.
That's unfortunate.
Yeah.
They're
the only one left. They're the only like one of those old indie production companies left, really.
Mm-hmm. Damn shame.
Yeah. So, like I was saying, they had a meeting. Leonard Cohen really wanted a sequel to Maniac, and William Lustig didn't have an angle on it. So Leonard Cohen was like, "Here's the angle: Maniac Cop."
Yeah, I mean it makes sense. A person of authority, someone you're going to flee to in a crime, and then if that's a maniac, even better. What was my question? Could it be the same maniac, Gary? You've seen them both.
No,
it couldn't be.
No, not at all.
Okay, he
the
dies,
backstory is not at all consistent.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Because I mean, they do an explanation, which we'll get to in a little bit, of like where this guy's backstory comes from, like what's his deal, why he's doing the things he's doing, kind of.
Yeah.
So yeah, go on, then bring it on.
Yeah, so I think what's most notable about this movie is that it has like a really stacked cast.
For the budget.
Well, I mean, I guess so. No, I just mean for like an exploitation movie. It's got Tom Atkins, it has Bruce Campbell, there's a bunch of people that are big exploitation movie guys.
Sure.
And it's it's a great example of an exploitation movie because it's not scary. Like the violence in it's not to be scary.
Well,
it's almost like goofy, and it's almost like the Toxic Avenger, and it's fun to watch the Maniac Cop kill people, but you don't feel scared. That's why I think these movies are fun for kids.
Right.
That's why children like them.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. You can have them watch the entire Maniac Cop series, put them to bed, not worry about them waking up in the middle of the night, being like,
it's not gonna scare you like Hellraiser.
Yeah, right. Where you're gonna wake up and be like, oh no, my nipples are getting pulled with chains.
It's more the novelty of watching the Maniac Cop kill people and how he does it.
Which, I don't want to say I'm disappointed with the kills, because they're fine police. It's a big behemoth. He's not going around. He doesn't have. He's got a little sword. He's got like a knife hidden in his police baton, but he doesn't have he's not wielding machete like Jason, or he's not.
Yeah, he's basically killing people with his little baton.
Yeah.
Knife, which isn't. First of all, we should start with talking a little bit about the movie and how it starts.
Sure.
There's a waitress going home, and she is attacked by two muggers who
Thugs.
This movie is very politically incorrect. It's just like she was attacked by Puerto Ricans, and everybody refers to them as such. There's no even thought about how racist that is. So she runs away from these muggers. She thinks she sees a cop, and she runs to a cop, and it's the Maniac Cop.
It's the Maniac Cop.
Snaps her neck.
He's got his weird white gloves on.
Yeah.
He's hidden in shadow. You can't see his actual face yet.
Yeah.
So we don't actually know who he is.
Yeah,
was what I found interesting, actually.
Yeah, and they play with that a bit. So the next scene, you're at the corner, and we meet the detective on the case, who's played by Tom Atkins.
Oh, right.
And the coroner is actually Adolf from Surf Nazis Must Die.
Wow.
So
star-studded cast, as you say.
Yeah, exactly. He has a great mullet. But anyway, so Tom Atkins has a personal connection with the victim. He knew her. She was a waitress, which is also like one of the things that I think is interesting about Tom Atkins is like he's like in his 50s or 60s when he did these movies, but he always is like has really hot young girlfriends. I don't know if that's just how culture was back then, that like guys just dated younger women.
Maybe he wrote into his contracts. He's like, I always got to be with a babe.
There's like 3 hot women in this movie that it implies he's sleeping with: the waitress, the reporter. So anyways, I'm getting ahead of myself because we have to talk about the plot, right? So
the killer, he's sleeping with everybody.
Anyways, Tom Atkins is on the case.
Mm-hmm.
He's looking for the Maniac Cop. then comes in Bruce Campbell's character, who's a cop in a troubled marriage. His wife thinks he may be the Maniac Cop because he's going out and having an affair. She
Right.
follows him to a motel room and finds him in bed with another police officer.
And he's like moaning and stuff, but she's definitely
First of
like
all,
giving him a
I fucking
handy.
hate Bruce Campbell. He is a terrible actor, and he is not good
He-
in this. And
he
he's
plays
very
camp.
overrated.
That's
Yeah.
what he plays. You know, that's his thing.
And he's a fucking dick. Like, he always talks about how much he hates this movie. Any experience I've had of Bruce Campbell, he's been a fucking dick. I went to go see his movie. My name is Bruce or
Right,
whatever.
right.
He was a fucking cunt to the whole audience.
Really?
Yeah, and he was like supposed to do a Q&A, and like he talked for like 20 minutes and didn't answer any questions.
You know, he's got B movie.
But people love him
got
because he was
C-movie
in movies in
celebrity
the
status.
80s.
Right? And you know, bigger movies that everyone's seen. You know, those,
Yeah.
The Army of Darkness series. Those are great.
Yeah, yeah.
Evil Dead. You know.
So, anyways, Bruce Campbell's wife follows him to a hotel room.
Right. Sees him
finds
getting
sleeping with the officer.
Sees him getting pegged.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You notice that he's like turned the other way, and she's like either giving him a handy while he's and off. But
that would make way more sense.
At first, my girlfriend was watching. Was like, is he getting fucked by a transgender?
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
Is that what's going
Well,
on?
Laura Landon, the girl plays that character, is kind of stacked too. She looks like very athletic.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
So and the hair it's just so over the top. Just so 80s, so big and like puffed out, but like like it looks like a poodle, right?
Yeah.
You know, it's just like wavy but ridiculous. Ridiculous.
But anyways, his wife pulls a gun on them and runs out of the hotel.
Right.
Where she's then caught by the Maniac Cop and killed.
You think she's definitely dead. She's found in the morning. Her neck is slit.
Yeah.
You think she was caught by the cop, not that she slit her own throat?
No, I think she's killed by the Maniac Cop, and that's the whole thing. And that Bruce Campbell's character, is this kind of a flawed good guy where like he feels guilty about his wife dying because he was cheating on her, and throughout the rest of the movie he's trying to find the killer, who they're also suspecting him, so he's trying to clear his own name.
Sure.
Yeah.
You think that this Maniac Cop was clever enough to find this woman, bring her into the hotel room where they were fucking, and slit her throat?
No, he grabs her outside the hotel room in a van. Didn't you see the movie?
I think so.
Okay. Yeah. He's
my eyes glazed over. At
anyways,
one
the
or two
Maniac
ways.
Cop
Yeah,
is
yeah.
getting inside information from
Okay.
somebody in the police department,
Definitely.
and he's setting up Bruce Campbell. The plot does not make sense.
Yeah, I don't know why Bruce is his like target. It's because Bruce was like, unfaithful. Is it because it's because he's racist or something? I don't know. He's not, at least as far as the movie went, but
yeah.
I don't know. He's got to have some sort of issue beyond. Like, why would the cop hate him?
So, what happens next is that Bruce Campbell's character is arrested for killing his wife.
Right.
They assume it's him.
Because it's his wife and her neck is slit, and who else would murder his wife?
Yeah.
He's having an affair. It's clearly him.
And then his girlfriend is attacked by the Maniac Cop while she's out on Vice pretending to be a prostitute.
Right. She's actually a cop, but she looks like a prostitute for the whole movie.
Okay.
Right?
I guess so. I mean, I always wondered about that, like, because, the type of women who become cops don't seem like the type of women that would pass as prostitutes. But I guess any woman will pass as a prostitute, really.
You
It's
just
like
make your hair
the
like a
streets of New
poodle.
York in the fucking 80s.
Yeah,
I don't
anybody
think
will
people were
pay
that
for,
picky.
yeah.
She probably looks way too good, honestly, to be a prostitute back then.
That's probably why that first guy didn't trust her. He showed up and he's like, Actually, I did like that scene. I thought it was a very honest scene. There's a guy, he pulls up in a car and she sticks her head in the window and they have an interaction where he's like, she's clearly a prostitute. I mean, she looks like it, but he's not saying, "Can I pay you for sex?" Right? He doesn't say it, and he wants her to say it so it can happen. Otherwise, it'd be entrapment. If she was to come over and say, "Hey, sugar, you want some sex for money?" and he said, "Yeah," then that would be entrapment, and he would actually have a case probably in the court of law. But instead, he's like dancing around it, and they're just flirting or whatever, and she won't give on that she's, a cop or a prostitute, and she's not gonna, say sex for money. And so that's why their interaction ends. He goes, "All right, well, you take care or whatever, and I'm gonna have thoughts of you later." And that's the scene. I thought it was a really well acted and honest interaction. This movie starts out, let me just say, we started out, and so far what Gary has explained is like pretty solid, and it almost seems like the filmmakers know what they're doing. Like they're aware. It's like self-aware, there.
No, there is a lot of satire in it. Even that scene that you're talking about, like that idea of that you have to admit that you're a cop if somebody asks you like that. And I'm not sure if that's even true, but that's always what my understanding of the situation has been. And they're definitely playing with that idea and just the idea of killer cops. And there's a lot of satire in that, and a lot of stuff in the movie. And that was kind of what Leonard Cohen was known for.
Sure,
Yeah,
I mean, that definitely comes across. There, we talked about the scene where our cop is like, "Hey, you should." He has the confrontation where the police chief is like, "Well, didn't you have?" He essentially
Are you talking about Tom Atkins when he's interviewing with Commissioner Pike,
and he's asking,
he's like, "Didn't you have a self-harm incident?" Basically, this guy tried to kill himself, and everybody kind of knows it, but I don't think it was officially filed as such.
And then
also that Commissioner Pike, that's Shaft.
Oh, is it?
Yeah,
wow.
That's Richard Roundtree.
Okay, well, yeah, right on.
Yeah. Leonard Cohen wrote a lot of like blaxploitation movies in the 70s, like Black Caesar and stuff like that.
That's cool.
But yeah, that's a great scene. That's where it gets kind of goofy when like Tom Atkins is doing the smile.
Oh yeah,
like,
yeah.
All right, guys.
But what I did like about that scene is that the police chief is like, "What do you expect me to do? Like psych evaluate all the cops on the force? That's ridiculous. I would never do such a thing. Hey, didn't you try to commit suicide once, you piece of shit?
Yeah.
Why don't you go like?"
I just love that.
Smile.
Yeah, this character has come back from a self-harm incident.
And they're making fun of him for like, hey, what a pussy.
And yeah, the police do not want to investigate themselves. It's obviously pointing out, problems with the culture inside the police department and the fact that they don't want to,
Yeah, it all starts out very like satirical and self-aware, it seems like. All right, so let's keep going. So where's it go from there? We were just at...
so Forrest is arrested for killing his wife.
Right.
But McRae doesn't believe that he's the one who did it.
Mm-hmm.
And then that's where we find out about the Matt Cordell character, the Maniac Cop.
Right. I don't know if we've quite seen his face yet, still.
They hide his face. And when they first introduce Bruce Campbell's character, they kind of hide his face too, kind of playing with the idea of like, is this the Maniac Cop?
Right.
But anyways, I think we can get into Matt Cordell's backstory a little bit.
Sure.
So he's a super cop. Super trigger happy.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and he ends up getting thrown in prison with all the people that he's,
Right. Who he's wrong done. And actually, let's stop there and discuss before that. He's a super trigger happy super cop.
He's basically Dirty Harry.
He's yeah. And every other cop fucking loves the guy.
Yeah.
It's like, he was my goddamn hero until the government goddamn did him wrong. Those goddamn courts.
Blue Lives Matter crowd loved Matt Cordell.
I mean, he's taken justice in his own hands.
Yeah.
How can you not love a guy who's going to not play by the rules, who's going to be that loose cannon, who's going to throw you off a building because he knows you're a piece of shit? But in this case, he's not necessarily killing anyone who's a piece of shit. He's killing a guy getting into his car. He's killing a woman who was just attacked by two muggers. Who's the other guy who dies at the beginning? There's one other.
Oh, the trumpet player?
Yeah, there's a trumpet player who's just doing fuck all.
Who's thrown into the concrete.
Yeah, just brutal.
Yeah, and Robert Zadar plays the Maniac Cop, who is a man with an actual medical condition. That's another thing. William Lustig loves to cast like interesting looking actors.
Sure.
The killer in Maniac is played by Joe Spinell, who's also like a really interesting, just doesn't look like an actor.
Right.
He's
just a very character-y looking person.
Yeah.
Sure.
So in the same tradition of like, using real freaks in like The Hills Have Eyes, they use Robert Zadar as a bad guy because it's like he just looks like a bad guy.
His face is so big.
Yeah.
He's just got
I think his condition is called cherubism.
Cherubism, okay.
Yeah.
And it just builds out his like features to be like
I don't
wider.
remember. I think it destroys the bone or something.
Okay.
But he looks like a Hollywood actor who's like gone crazy with plastic surgery.
Yeah.
But he hasn't. It's just like a medical condition. He almost looks like an anthropomorphized like comic book character. Like you took like a Superman drawing and tried to make like a real person out of it. Because his jaw is just like
his jaw
big.
is just so chiseled.
Yeah.
Massive. Just like you could fucking break a wall down with that chin.
Yeah.
But what's interesting to me is that they shy away from showing his face for the whole thing because it's kind of like a mystery. It's like a whodunit. It could be Bruce for the beginning of it, but we ultimately discover that it's not. It's this other character, Matt, when he starts researching whatever. It's Matt, right? That's the
Matt Cordell is the Maniac
right.
Cop.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, so he's sent to jail, with all the criminals they've been throwing in jail, and they get him in the shower, which is a pretty great flashback. I also really like the score in this movie because it reminds me a lot of the Gremlins score in the music shop or the little magic shop in Chinatown.
Sure, yeah. Kind of mystical and, whimsy.
Yeah.
But
so
creepy.
they catch him in the shower, and they fuck him up, and you think that they killed him, is what they give you a sense at first.
I thought they were going to do him.
You thought they were going to rape him in the shower.
Yeah, I thought they were going to drop the soap. And
that was like my kind of obvious joke.
Because, you're in the shower.
Yeah.
You're in the shower. You're attacking him. But at the same time, when you're in the shower, you're completely defenseless. You're just naked, and that's what's up. And so if
it's kind of like the scene in Showdown in Little Tokyo in the Japanese Schwitz or the Eastern Promises when Viggo Mortensen fights the dude
right
in the fucking bathhouse with his dick
just
swinging around.
Yeah.
And your dick is so unprotected when you're fighting naked in the shower. You kind of want to cover your dick. You don't want your dick to get kicked or cut.
Like if I was fighting regular, that's fine. I can kick, and when I turn fast, my dick isn't gonna fly out towards my knees.
Well, as a defense mechanism, my penis will actually get smaller and crawl back up inside of me.
Whoop,
like a turtle's head.
That's smart, Gary. You're a survivor, dude.
No, it's an evolutionary trait that I value. But,
so you killed at Rochambeau then. Back in grade school,
of course. But anyway, so he's killed, and then we find out that he didn't die. He was just he was brain
still alive.
dead.
Right.
Which is the confusing part about this movie that I don't really understand. Like, is Maniac Cop? Is he a lunk who's brain dead, who has fucking CTE, and he's like one of these NFL players who's beating his wife because he fucking got hit in the head too much, or is he like a zombie like Jason,
who only
because he takes bullets?
Yeah, he does.
So it's kind of inconsistent. And in the sequels, they basically just make him a zombie like Jason.
Sure.
But I think
I could see that.
Supposed to be like a brain dead.
That was my intent, my impression. But when
he's basically Chris Benoit,
which is why I didn't believe him to set up Bruce like that. He's a brain dead vegetable. He's walking around strangling whoever he wants because he's just got cop syndrome where he's like, I'm powerful, I'm gonna beat your legs till you fucking bleed.
Yeah, and part of that could be because he has inside information. Let's talk about that character because that is honestly the best performance in this whole movie. The character of Sally Nolan, who is Matt Cordell's ex-girlfriend.
Right.
She tries to throw herself out a window when he has his incident. And she's basically like an old crippled fucking school marm.
Just hanging out in the back of the police station.
Her performance is fucking great, and she's hilarious.
Very solid. Yeah.
And the scene where Tom Atkins is looking through her purse, and she realizes the jig is up, and she starts attacking him with a cane.
Right.
That's fucking great. Yeah, she's great. I think she ended up winning a bunch of Emmys for TV later.
Oh, did you?
She was supposed to be the replacement that 20th Century Fox had in mind for Marilyn Monroe. In the fucking 50s and 60s.
Wow.
She's had a very long career, and she's probably the best actor in this besides Tom Atkins.
She's still acting?
I believe so. I'm not sure if she's still alive, but she was doing things for a long time.
If she will, she's.
I mean, she was born in 1930, dude.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah, then she's probably. Well, I wish her the best if she's still doing it.
Yeah,
living that is.
Officer Mallory goes to warn Commissioner Pike and Captain Riley. But they arrest her, and the Maniac Cop shows up and kills everyone
in the police station.
Yeah.
Absolutely murders everybody. While our Bruce character and his hooker cop love interest, T.J. Hooker. There we go.
There you go. Oh, we got one. We got a joke in this episode.
I'm on fire. Well, I'm just warming up. Anyway.
Yeah, this shit, it really doesn't make any sense. So Forrest gets arrested.
They're making out. He gets arrested. It's his name Forrest? Right.
Yeah, Jack Forrest or some shit. Right, cool. Great names.
Yeah.
Anyway, so he's arrested at the parade. And also, they shot this footage before they even had a script. Basically, they had the idea for the movie, and they're like, we got to go to St. Patty's Day and steal some shots.
Okay.
Before they even really knew it was going. This movie was not shot in New York City. It was mostly shot in L.A., Okay. Mostly the docks by San Pedro.
Well, not bad.
With 3 days in New York.
Sure. I mean, you have just establishing shots of New York, and then if you're anywhere else, you're gonna assume New York.
Yeah. So, Bruce Campbell's character is arrested and thrown in the van, and the Maniac Cop takes the van, takes it to his warehouse hideaway.
Yep.
Where he has a confrontation with Bruce Campbell's character, as well as the Mallory character who gets in a cop car with a cop and is like, follow them, which is ridiculous. She was just arrested. Why would the cop do? He would take her back to jail.
Yeah, but you know, she's dressed like a hooker.
Yeah.
So
yeah, he was like, whatever you say, lady.
Oh, an angel. Oh.
Yeah. Yeah. So there's a great conflict at the end, and the Maniac Cop is killed when he tries to escape in the van and is impaled by a rod, and the van goes off the pier and into the water.
Right.
Which is a fucking amazing stunt performed by the stunt guy Spiro Rosado, I believe is his name. Yeah.
That guy. Yeah. It's slow motion as this van just launches off this pier, you know, and this guy's jumping out of it. It's crazy.
From what I understand, it's a complicated stunt because he has to drive the van, hit the ramp at speed enough to get it launched off, and then he has to clear the van before the van goes into the water. You can't go into the water with the van, or else it's like, you know, death. You're going to get trapped.
Yeah.
And also, they let Bruce Campbell like do shots hanging off the side of that van, which is pretty fucking crazy.
I mean, that was actually they were actually
from what I heard, they didn't let him do a lot of stuff, but there are shots where the van is moving and he's hanging off the side of it. So,
actor's dream.
Yeah.
Everyone wants to hang off a van. Just kidding. Some people
really
do.
Great stunts.
Some people do, like Tom Cruise. That guy loves hanging off shit. He's like, oh yeah. Oh, you want to?
He's basically become like Johnny Knoxville later in his life. It's like, yeah, Tom Cruise is gonna fucking jump out of outer space and land on his nuts on this fucking skyscraper. Yeah. I'm Tom Cruise. You're watching Mission Impossible 6.
$1 trillion. Take all my money. I was watching the intros to those movies, and it's interesting at what point Tom Cruise, it starts saying a Tom Cruise film is like number 3. It's just like, forget everybody else, and I think by number 4, there's no longer director credited. It's just a Tom Cruise film, you know?
Yeah. Which
is pretty wild. I mean, it's in the ending credits, but in the opening, you know, sequence with the whatever the hell's going on.
Yeah.
But besides the fact.
Yeah, well, back to Maniac Cop.
Maniac Cop.
Russ, you were saying that the gore and the kills.
Speaking of maniacs.
You were saying that the gore and the kills wasn't really up to your standards as far as a slasher movie?
I was a bit disappointed. You know, we start off with a neck break, and that's, you know, we see the bruises later, and that's just simple. I mean, he picks her up. I guess he picks her up by her head, so that's kind of cool. Yeah, I don't know. I was expecting, I guess, more gore. There was violence, but I don't know if there was like a lot of like entrails or like.
No, you're totally right. I think, you know,
ribs or any bones or shit.
No, there's not at all. But the movie, what it does is it has really good stunts. There's really good stunt work and action sequences.
Mm-hmm.
Also, I thought like very creative use of handcuffs. There's a few like really smart ideas with the handcuffs where it's like somebody has to run with the handcuffs on, or somebody gets handcuffed to somebody who's dead. And they keep doing interesting things with that, which is pretty good for a movie called Maniac Cop.
Yeah, I know. It makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. But anyways, Maniac Cop ended up being a huge success.
Did it?
Oh, yeah. It cost like $1 million, and it was a smash hit in America. It was huge in Japan.
Great.
So there ended up being sequels. The sequel's really good. There also ended up being ripoffs. There was a Psycho Cop, which was also, what's the other one? Ninja Cop. There was a few.
Samurai Cop?
Samurai Cop, that's it. Yeah. And Robert Zadar is in that, too.
Why not?
Yeah, of course.
He's an interesting looking character. What I found interesting by the end, I mean, when we finally kind of reveal his face, he's been like cut or something, and so he kind of has makeup on his face, right? He was cut in the past, so he's got this.
Yeah, he's all scarred up from getting.
And it looks better in like close-ups than it does in any other shot. But that's besides the fact. But his face already looks so interesting and like off. You know, unsettling, that I think any makeup added to it. He looks like
he's wearing a prosthetic already.
That's the thing. That once you add like prosthetics to it, I think the whole thing looks like a prosthetic. And I almost don't even believe that he looks that weird.
Yeah, for sure.
Which is kind of weird. I think they really should have been having moving his face and like just doing weird.
Yeah, and in the sequel, he does become more like a Jason-faced zombie.
He comes back to play himself in the sequels?
Yeah, he's in all the sequels.
Great.
Yeah. And Maniac Cop 2 is actually really great. The third one does suck. You know, in this movie, it was like a non-union movie, but it cost like $1 million. And apparently when they were in New York, like the unions tried to shut them down. Like whenever they were shooting outside, they would like shine lights at the set. And when they were shooting inside, they would try to like ride around the block on motorcycles with no mufflers. They had to shoot the opening sequence while that was happening to like get some film shot.
That's pretty rude.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy to think that things happened like that back then. But I guess shit like that's still happening.
Yeah, I mean, unions don't want guerrilla filmmaking on a $9 million budget. That's not small. You know,
it was a $1 million. It was a $1 million.
Oh, it was a $1 million. It made $9 million.
It looks. No, I didn't say.
No,
I didn't say
you didn't say $9 million.
No,
I heard $9 million.
But it looks awesome for like a $1 million movie, which is pretty.
Yeah, dude, it's got quite a bit of shit going on.
It's really well shot and really well made.
Yeah. I think it's pretty solid.
So fuck Bruce Campbell.
I think
sucks.
I think here's the thing. It's not a good movie, Gary.
No, it's not. But it's like self-aware enough to be fun.
It started out very self-aware, but I think what happens is, right, we start off and the themes feel very like, cops honor this man. They praise this crazy outside the box cop who went and just crazy killing people. He offended people's rights. He just didn't do the right thing.
Yeah, no, Maniac Cop is a complete fascist. Like he's fucking terrifying.
And all the cops are about him, right?
Yeah.
They're still like, hey, he was done wrong, but now that he's back. That's the thing. So he's a cop, and all the cops side with him until he gets fucked over by the law and killed by the people he didn't care about their humanity. Instead, just like choked them out till they fucking died or passed out or whatever, and then threw him in jail. So
he's a murderer.
He got what he was
to be in jail.
Yeah, he got what was coming to him.
He feels like he was betrayed by the police commissioner and the mayor or whatever, but he's not even actively trying. He does kill the commissioner.
He's just back.
And the captain, he's just killing innocent people.
He's just somehow back. Oh, because a surgeon put him back together. Felt bad after the fact, like the prison surgeon.
Yeah, so after he's killed in the prison.
After he's killed in the prison.
The doctor just gives him to his girlfriend. She's like, yeah, just take him home.
Yeah, just take this
He's
body.
brain dead, but we don't want him to go back in jail.
A drain on the system.
Which honestly, as far as a plot element goes, that almost makes sense to me. Like that's
if we're talking about prison systems, sure. I mean,
that's the
we're
most
talking about
believable part of this. I do believe that could possibly happen, and that's kind of smart. But besides that, yeah, the plot is pretty bad.
And then, but my thing is, once he becomes zombie cop, he's like no longer really a cop. He's not working for the police. He's his own entity working outside the force, as he kind of always was. But now he's not working for good. He's just working to just kill because he's got this cop bloodlust buried in him that he's just got to have this authoritarian force and just kill. And before, he had the guise of being a cop, right? Mm-hmm. He was a cop. He was a cop. Yeah. But he fucking beat people up and killed them. Innocent or not, it doesn't matter. We'll figure it out in the courts, because I'm right and you're wrong. I'm going to punch you in the face because you looked at me wrong on the sidewalk, but I know it's right, because I'm a cop. And now that he doesn't have the cop badge, he still got the badge, he's still got the uniform, but he doesn't have the right to go around doing it, and yet he's still going around beating up innocents, fucking doing whatever he fucking wants, because...
Yeah. Also, we missed a big plot element of the fact that Tom Atkins' character leaks the info that a cop is doing this.
Yes.
And that causes a panic. People are scared of the cops.
Right. That was interesting.
Yeah. And then the scene with the lady with the crusty ass, like herpes lips, who shoots the cop.
Oh yeah.
That's fucking great.
So he goes to he has an in with the news. Some chick who's like, oh, again, Bob, you're the greatest.
Yeah, Tom Atkins is fucking like 3 hot 20-somethings in this movie, and he looks like shit.
He's like, yeah. All right, well, I'll do that thing again with my fingers if you put this on the news.
Yeah, and they're like risking their careers to do things for him.
And so she puts out this thing because the cop, the police chief, didn't want to make a scene about there being a killer cop, even though it's clearly that's what's going on.
Yeah.
And so she leaks the information to everybody, and no one trusts cops. And I think that
caused the panic.
It's caused a panic, but I think
there's a lot of satire in there. There's a great scene in the bar where they're showing a bunch of like TV interviews. The guy's like, "Yeah, cops love killing people. That's why they become cops."
Yeah.
And Buck Flower is in that sequence.
He goes on to, I think the same guy goes on to say like 5 of his friends were shot. He's a person of color. And I think the scene just held too true. It wasn't even satire. It's just like honest you know, like that could have been a real.
Yeah, cops do abuse their powers.
Yeah, for
It's
sure.
definitely a real phenomenon.
Yeah,
And,
unfortunately,
you know.
and I think that movie was definitely playing on this.
Yeah. I think William Lustig takes it in a little bit of a darker direction than Leonard Cohen usually takes his satire. I feel like I'm saying the wrong name. I'm calling Larry Cohen Leonard Cohen, the songwriter, the singer-songwriter.
Is Larry not a short and it's Lawrence, right?
I don't.
Larry's short for Lawrence. I
Yeah,
think.
yeah. I'm just saying completely the wrong name because I'm terrible at this.
You edit it in post.
Yeah, yeah. You guys know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Hey, this is a feelings, not facts podcast, okay?
Yeah.
This is feelings. My feelings are fuck Bruce Campbell, Maniac Cop rules, Larry Cohen rules, William Lustig rules.
That stunt at the end rules.
Yeah, dude. Great stunts. Also, the stunt where Tom Atkins goes through the window is pretty fucking good.
Oh, he grabs the guy? No.
Maniac Cop throws him out the window. He dies like way too early for the star. It's kind of like a shock. Maniac Cop also kills his girlfriend by just smashing her into the wall. He just picks her up and smashes her into the wall till she's dead.
He just like holds her there, right? Or does he keep blank?
No,
he
just smashing her into the wall.
He's
like, I love you.
Brutal.
Yeah.
Love is tough, man.
Yeah.
Puts you,
she's great.
Puts you in a rock in a hard place. Sometimes that hard place is the wall, and sometimes that rock is a cop blasting you against the wall.
And is she having sex with this zombie cop dude?
That's
probably like why she's so loyal and she loves this dude so much, dude. He's probably fucking swinging a piece like Dolph Lundgren. I mean, look at him. He's fucking like 9 feet tall.
It might be Dolph. Like,
yeah,
I think that's what happened.
You think Robert Zadar and Dolph
it's a
Lundgren's
sequel.
a connection? Yeah.
You know, he's just doing his own thing on his force.
Yeah.
Dolph's like, hungry shit.
Yeah.
And he died and his face got all swollen.
That makes sense.
His dick got even bigger. And that's why the chick that's
why she's crippled.
She's crippled. Not
yeah.
No,
I think we really got to the core of it, Russ.
Direct sequel. It's pretty actually obvious now that you pointed it out.
Yeah.
Again, this is a facts. This is a facts podcast, right, Gary? That's what we were just saying. This is a fact.
This has all been fact checked. It's all completely legit.
Pretty sure that director is said, yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
But this was really like the height of William Lustig's career. Maniac and then Maniac Cop. He did like try to venture into making more mainstream action films, and they just kind of sucked.
Did he do the sequels?
Yeah, he did the sequels.
Oh, okay, well,
Maniac Cop 2 is fucking amazing. Maniac Cop 3 is it's more budget for sure.
Well, I mean, but like there is a bigger budget versus it is more budget, as in.
Oh no, there's a bigger budget.
Bigger budget, great.
Yeah, the third one, I'm not sure what the budget was. It might have been a little bit smaller. But Maniac Cop 2 is pretty great.
And those are over the course of, like 10 years or 4 years?
No, they came out pretty quick. I think it was like 88, 90, 93.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
And now William Lustig, you know, he was producing a bunch of like short documentaries for like Anchor Bay DVDs and things. And he eventually started his own distribution company, Blue Underground. So he's releasing a lot of like exploitation films on Blu-ray and stuff like that.
That's dope.
Yeah, and they shot real aerial footage of Sing Sing prison in the movie. There's great helicopter shots. Larry Cohen always had great helicopter shots in his films.
Why not? It adds value like tenfold, and
it gives you like an ominous feel, which you don't see it a lot in low budget horror, so it's cool. But when they were shooting the prison, they called the warden there, to inform them if they're going to be flying a helicopter near the prison. And he was like, "That's fine, but if you get within 500 feet, we're going to shoot at you."
So he made sure.
Yeah,
he stayed above that.
But it kind of reinforces how real that kind of psychology is in law enforcement. Like, it's really not that off. Like, people really are kind of maniac cops.
Yeah, you're gonna be like, yeah, we'll do that until you cross the line, and then we're just gonna blast you, sucker. It's fine to be that far, or do that thing until put on my white gloves. What's with the white gloves, huh? He's got to put on these like the cheapest cotton gloves I've ever seen. It's like
I don't know if it's
my
just
girlfriend
like a bad
puts lotion on her
costume.
hands and puts her hands in those like clown gloves.
I think those are just old gloves. I think things from the 80s just look like shitty.
Is that what
but
cops
I don't know,
wore?
I mean,
Do cops wear white gloves like that?
Yeah, that's probably part of their formal uniform.
Really? Yeah, damn.
When they like dress up. I don't know. I'm not a cop. But,
sure you're not, Gary.
Yeah. So overall, I think it's a fun movie. It's probably not necessarily a good movie. The plot is pretty bad. There's some pretty bad acting, although there's some pretty good acting. And it definitely has a lot of redeeming qualities.
I mean, we're talking movie or horror movie. You know, it's a
I don't think it's a horror
different
movie.
scale.
To me, this is like an exploitation movie.
Okay, sure, yeah. I see that.
Yeah.
And so as far as exploitation film goes, it's
entertaining.
It's entertaining.
Yeah, I think it kind of falls apart at the end, but I enjoyed it.
Yeah, I think once he became a zombie, it is where it kind of fell apart for me. But it also, I followed through. It was cool.
Yeah,
Maniac.
for sure.
Maniac Cop. I went in expecting that, and that's what I got.
It definitely delivers on that. The movie's called Maniac Cop, and it gives you that.
Yeah, for sure.
Like I said, it's pretty much what if Jason was a cop
with a big face.
Honestly, like if you think about it, it's probably a better film than the original Friday the 13th.
He could have popped up out of the water.
He does
at the
pop
end.
up in the water at the end. Did you watch the movie, Russ?
I was pretty stoned. I seen it. Yeah.
Yeah. No, after that great stunt, where it's supposed to be, I guess it's supposed to be like the fucking river in New York, but it's not. Those are the docks in San Pedro.
Okay.
It's the same place where Tony Scott killed himself.
Oh, spoiler alert.
Yeah. Yeah, his hand pops up out of the water, and the Maniac Cop lives, and there's more.
And we
sequels.
cut to credits right after that.
I think so.
Okay, yeah, that sounds right.
Yeah,
I think I did see that.
Like I said, this is a Feelings Not Facts podcast.
Yeah.
And, and Maniac Cop 2 is great, man. Maybe we should watch that sometime. Maniac Cop 3 is really pretty shitty.
Well, then we're never going to watch that one unless our viewers, listeners want us to. So give us feedback.
Yeah, that's not a bad idea, Russ. We should probably ask suggestions if people want to hear us talk about movies.
Yeah, I mean, I hope we entertained as well as informed on some sort of better linear trajectory this time versus the shamble.
That's the thing, man. We can't do it linear. We gotta do it piece by piece in a backwards order that doesn't make any sense.
Christopher Nolan style.
Yeah, exactly.
Everybody loves that shit.
It's high end art. We're telling the story backwards and in reverse. Yeah.
Yeah. All right, I'm in.
What if the movie was going backwards?
Yeah.
That's pretty much all Christopher Nolan does now. Is makes movies where time slows down and time goes in reverse.
Well,
it's fucking boring.
He can do
That's a conversation for next time, Russ.
Yeah, when we discuss. When we discuss, who knows? We'll see. But yeah, comment below, subscribe, all that fucking bullshit. Fucking smash it 7 times because I think that matters, right? More than once. But yeah, don't dislike, or the Maniac Cop will come and smash you into a wall till your dick explodes.
All right, I think we'll cut this off there, and we'll see you guys next week.
Adios.